Now, this is our B2B marketing strategy that we've been using over the past few years for ourselves and clients, and it's one that you can copy for yourself to make sure that every piece of content you make actually contributes to your sales process. So timestamps below, along with some other helpful videos to building out this process and of course, writing your content, including a link to Jarvis, which is an AI tool that can actually write all of your content for you. It is absolutely amazing. More on that in a little bit. So let's jump into our strategy. Of course, it starts with content, right? 3 specific types of content: a how-to guide or tutorial, a decision guide or tutorial, and then an authentic review. So more on what you should include in each one of these content types in a moment. What's most important is you stick to these 3 because it will virtually guarantee that your content is always contributing to your sales process, because we don't want to make content for the sake of making content, right? We're not trying to just grow an audience or vanity metrics in terms of number of subscribers or listeners or readers, right? We need this to contribute to our sales process. Now, speaking of our sales process, each one of these content posts should have some sort of call to action. And so this call to action can be to check out your product page, it could be to go to a landing page to enter their contact information, or it could be a direct call to action to a strategy or discovery call. And if you're doing any sort of affiliate marketing, this would be the place where you would put an affiliate link. Now, there is one other thing that you can do here to really supercharge this process before we get into the details, and that would be using remarketing. So if you're on YouTube like we are in this particular example, then you could use YouTube remarketing ads targeting people who've already seen your content and then reinforce that call to action, telling them to check out a product page, landing page, or book a discovery call with you. I don't recommend doing remarketing for an affiliate offer simply because it's really hard to track conversions when you're driving people to someone else's site. And then of course, if you're doing blogs, then you have a lot more remarketing options because you can put a lot of remarketing tags. I'll link up in the cards and the description to some helpful advertising videos if you want to learn more about remarketing. So now that we know the types of content we should be making, now we need to switch gears and look at it from our prospect's perspective, our ideal customer's perspective, to make sure that we choose keywords and topics and content ideas that are actually relevant to them, because it's really easy to make content that we think is good and will help our sales process, but if it's not relevant to our prospect or ideal customer, then it doesn't matter, because they're not going to read something even if it's going to be helpful to them. They're not going to read or watch a video if they aren't already interested in the subject. So we need to identify their reality gap, right? The gap between where they are and where they want to be, and our content will help bridge that gap and help them move one step closer to actually purchasing our product or service, or at least seeing the value in our product or service. So there are 3 questions you want to ask. Who are they? What do they want? And what's in their way? Because copy that speaks to everyone winds up connecting with no one. And so using these 3 questions, we'll be able to make sure that we're really focused on what our ideal customers and prospects are currently struggling with, what they're thinking about, and what they're trying to achieve. So here's a quick example. I'll link up in the cards in the description to a full-blown customer avatar tutorial that will go through a much deeper dive of this process. But here we're going to 80-20 and just look at what results and what roadblocks are they trying to achieve, and of course, that are in their way. So let's say we have a marketing agency and someone is trying to be more successful with Facebook ads. Well, what results would they be after? They want consistent leads, a positive return, more confidence, and being able to scale with a complete control over their ad spend. What's in the way of all those results that they want? Maybe they're not quite sure what type of ads to use. They find metrics confusing. Maybe they haven't found a tutorial that really speaks to them and their specific type of business. Or maybe they believe that costs are just going to be way too high to be successful. Now, this process could probably take anywhere from 20 to 45 minutes, and you don't have to worry about the specific type of content that you're going to make. We're just identifying what situation our ideal consumer of the content that we're about to make is in. Because when we know what the results are and the roadblocks are, then it's much easier to make compelling posts that are going to attract them. And it will also help repel those who aren't a good fit for a product or service. And once we have this list, we're ready to move on to the keyword research phase. And all we're going to do in the keyword research phase is look at our list of results and list of roadblocks and ask the question, how would our ideal customer search for answers to achieve these results and overcome these roadblocks? That's it. We're just stepping into their shoes and saying, all right, we know what's in their way and we know what they want. So how are they going to go about finding the information to get what they want and overcome what's in their way? And so we want to start our keyword research from this frame, and we'll take a quick little detour here to reconnect what we're doing to actually getting people to purchase our product or service, because we're going to want to categorize our keywords to match the different types of content that we should make. Realize it's a little confusing, so let's go through this diagram. Let's say we have all of these different potential customers, right? And we have our product or service offer in the middle. Well, each one of these lines is longer or shorter depending upon how much content someone would need to consume in order to find value in our product or service. So if we were to zoom in on one, the first type of content would be creating a how-to guide or a decision guide where they're in the curiosity or learning phase. And then the next type of content we would look at making would be reviews, because this is someone who's done with the curiosity. They're done with the learning. They said, you know what, I think I'm going to buy something, or I think I need to use something in order to achieve the results that I'm looking for and break through my roadblocks. And so those are the types of posts we'd make right before a buying decision. These types of posts are great for physical products. They don't work as well when it comes to services and digital products, although it is possible if you're a services-based business, you could maybe do reviews about software. And so as you go through your keyword research, realize that there isn't one keyword that's going to magically work for every single one of your customers. This is why you have to create lots of different pieces of content, because everyone is a different length from your purchasing your product or service, and they need a different content post in order to move them one step closer, which is why we need to have lots of different types of keywords and have multiple different types and variations of our 3 posts of reviews, decision guides, and of course tutorials. Now, when it comes to doing the keyword research itself, what you want to do is go to a tool or a platform and search as if you were your ideal customer. Now, there are 3 tools I recommend. The first one, if you're doing anything on YouTube, is the YouTube search box. I know this is going to sound really tedious, but the best place to go to find keywords for ranking on YouTube is the YouTube search box suggestion. So go ahead and start typing in a keyword, something like, let's say, content marketing, and then you'll get a bunch of options to complete that potential search. And in this particular instance, we could actually go a step further and type in content marketing strategy, and then we'd get even more keywords. And of course, you'd start looking at those videos and saying, hey, are these videos ones that I should be making as well, because they represent my ideal customer? And how do you know that they represent your ideal customer? Well, if those videos are speaking to the same roadblocks and results that you've already identified, that's how you know it's a good keyword to go after. Now, when it comes to blogging and keyword research, there are 2 tools I recommend, and you can get away with using the free version for the most part. The first one is Answer the Public. And so this is great when you're looking for tutorial and decision guides. I really like this tool for that. So you could go over there and type something in like how to rollerblade or bake a keto cake, or let's say how to train your dog or something like that. And it's going to give you this really nice list of all these different keyword variations, and it will give you some ideas to go search on Google, or the next tool I'm going to recommend to figure out whether or not the content that is currently ranking is the type of content that you should be making for your ideal customer. So what's great is there's so much content out there already. When you go and search a keyword on the platform that you're trying to rank for, you can quickly figure out whether or not you should be going after that by the content that's ranking. So if you see a bunch of videos or blog posts or podcast episodes that have nothing to do with your product or service, then you know that's not a good keyword to go after. And the third tool here is going to be Ubersuggest. So what you can do is take the keywords that you found in Answer the Public or the keywords you found on YouTube, and you can search them in Ubersuggest, and it will actually give you a listing of content ideas, of content that's ranking and sites that are ranking well for that. And you can go into those websites and start manually clicking around and figuring out other content ideas. And so this is kind of how I like to ladder it, because once you have a keyword or two, you can do a lot of research on your own without these keyword research tools. Because what's most important is you see what content is actually performing when people are typing in those keywords. And so going back to our customer journey here, we have the how-to tutorial, we have the decision guide, and we have the reviews. Hopefully you have a couple of keywords. I recommend having anywhere from 15 to 20. And then the next step of your process is, of course, actually writing, right? So let's go through some quick examples of what each one of these could entail. So the first one up we have is the decision guide. And so as an example, we had a video where we went through Google Analytics and Google Tag Manager and talked about why you might use one versus the other or how they could work together. Now, there was no click-by-click tutorial here. There was no super deep dive into how to install them, right? It just talked about the options and what they could do for someone who's new to content marketing or new to marketing in general. And so these are really helpful in helping someone decide, should I go down path A or should I go down path B? And it's different than a review, because a review is going really deep into why this one's better than this one, right? Versus a decision guide is just helping someone understand a macro decision that they have to make, as opposed to a specific solution that they should be using. Now, the second one on our list is going to be the how-to or the step-by-step guides. And as an example, this channel, we have a lot of step-by-step guides on how to do advertising, specifically Google and YouTube. So we made a tutorial on how to run YouTube ads. And finally, when it comes to reviews, you could go ahead and review some products or services that are in your same kind of field, niche, or industry. And as long as they're not a direct competitor to you, you can be seen as an authentic reviewer. Weigh the pros and cons. We do that a lot on my channel and this channel, where we talk about different softwares like MailerLite or ConvertKit or GetResponse or whatever the latest funnel software is, and talk about the pros and cons. And because we don't personally make funnel software, it can still come across as authentic because we're not competing directly with any one of the companies that we are talking about. And remember, when you're making these content pieces, you want to make sure you have at least one clear call to action on what you want people to do next, whether that's to check out your product page, your landing page, or a strategy call page, or an affiliate offer. As an example, towards the beginning of this video, I had a direct call to action to check out Jarvis,
including a link to Jarvis, which is an AI tool that can actually write all of your content for you. It is absolutely amazing. More on that in a little bit.
Which is an awesome free tool that I highly recommend you check out after this video. So again, link in the description, because it can literally write your posts or your YouTube scripts or outlines for you. It is a tremendously powerful tool. And the pitch aside, that's all you need to do to make a call to action inside of your video or inside of your blog posts. Here are some examples where these posts simply just linked to whatever the call to action was, and that's all you have to do. There's nothing salesy or fancy with it. You just mention that there's something else that could be helpful in the process or the subject that you're talking about, and that is it. So the final step of this process is the syndication process. And this is something that I recommend holding off on until you have at least 5 to 10 posts down and you have someone who can help you with this process. So this quick little table shows the approximate pricing of what it might cost to cut up a blog post or YouTube video and syndicate it across other platforms. Of course, this could be a video in and of itself, but here I just wanted to include it so you have some ideas on how you can take content that you're working really hard to create and have it go out to other platforms. And when it comes to your content calendar, you definitely want to make sure that you are posting multiple times per week on different days. And so if you're really focused on blogging or YouTube, and that's Monday and Tuesday, well, then the other days of the week, you can post on other channels, social media channels or platforms, and have that be your syndication content days. That way something is going out somewhere at least once a day. And of course, it takes a really long time to get there. I know you'll see a lot of influencers and a lot of companies that seem to post multiple times a day everywhere, and it is a team of people behind the scenes making that possible. And so for one person or small teams of 10 or less, it can be a really, really big task to try and consistently post everywhere. So don't freak out if you're not there yet. We all start with just one platform and a couple posts per week. So go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe for more marketing videos just like this one. Check out that link to Jarvis. It is going to be such a huge time saver when it comes to actually writing all of this content. And until the next, keep building the business you love.